All right. So I mentioned face centering. I just wanted to remind again that this is something that we're working on. We're now integrating human to make sure that we do this properly. We're also going to try and detect emotions so that we would render them together with the speaker stats. Hopefully, people would find that useful. And they would all be available through the API as well, so that if you're using that in other apps, you could potentially put that information to good use. Also, we have a bunch of folks working on separating desktop and video streams coming out of Ascender. I think the functionality is in a pretty good shape at this point. Jaya helped me test it last week. She deployed it for me. And I think it's nearly there. There were just a few quirks left to iron out. So this has been a true community effort, by the way. Pablo here helped a ton. Then there's some folks at Bloomberg that are helping out. Jay worked in this. Maybe I'm definitely missing people. So, but anyways, thank you to everyone involved. Those projects like that are rare. All right. Would anyone from the team want to add anything to what I said? While waiting for someone to come up with ideas, I'll be putting out a few. We have a few. So when I have a few old recordings of interviews that we did for the Jitsi podcast, and we'll be adding them. We're putting them live today. They are dating a bit at this point, but they're still very good conversations. We have one with Lorenzo, one with the co-screen folks, and one with Matt from Prosody. So people would hopefully find these useful. All right. Anyone from the team again?
We'll be pushing a new stable release probably today. That fixes all the issues people were having with the latest Prosody release. And that also fixes few issues around using the Ubuntu, the latest LTS Ubuntu that is going to be released this year's one. So, that's it.
Thank you, Damien. Anyone else from the team? All right, opening the microphone to. Oh,
I wanted to.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, Bobby.
I wanted to remind people to please fill in this survey if they are using Jitsi Video Bridge with some sort of Colibri controller different than GCOFO or a modified GCOFO version. We would like to collect information about how the bridge is used in other projects so that we know which features we need to keep for backward compat and so on. If you're not comfortable sharing the name of the project and more details, that's fine. Just include the APIs that you make use of. Thank you.
Boris. I would also like to take a second and just draw people's attention to the huge progress that we've had with regard to layouts and how incredibly versatile and flexible Jitsi Meet has become through the past year or so. So not only did we, make it, we completely released all constraints about having things be rendered a certain way, like always the three participants are always rendered, two at the first row, one at the second. Now everything is just really smoothly situated along the screen, and not only that, but also we have the work that we did last year around disabling videos that are not being rendered. So I'm really pleased and proud with the direction that we've taken and all the work that we have done. So kudos to the team. All right. So opening the mic to the floor, there's a question from Annie. Do you know if Jitsi is doing a function where participants can upload docs during the meeting? No, we're not. This has come up a few times. We may do it in the future. Right now, our position is that this is not, I want to be careful what I say here, and I don't want this to be misunderstood. We don't believe this is best handled by Jitsi itself. Jitsi has a certain number of constraints. One of them being that at this point, we don't really handle storage. It's not something that we do. Everything disappears when a conference ends. Now, this is not to say that people don't need to look at docs during a meeting and that this shouldn't be within the purview of a meetings app. However, Jitsi is only one of the components of a meetings app. And for example, at 8x8, we use it with as one of the components of our meeting solution, but there are other components to it. And someone unmuted and started introducing echo. And another component that we have is that in Jazz, for example, as well, Jazz is often being used as a building block to applications. So we believe that storage, which has very specific constraints, where you have to worry about who has access to the document, under what conditions, and for how long, where you have to worry about things like rendering a document. Are you going to just show that it's there? Are you going to actually show the content of the document? Are you let people edit it? Are you going to try and synchronize what people see? All of these things depend hugely on the use case, and they're best handled by the final meetings app. So these are the challenges for why this isn't just a straightforward answer to say, yeah, it will get in Jitsi. So some shape of it may end up at some point in Jitsi, but right now the answer is this should be added by embedding apps. Annie, hopefully this answers your question, although I assume you might have preferred a different answer. Any other questions?
Yes, good morning, Emil.
Hi, Freddie. How are you? Good to hear from you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have observed some behavior. I'm not sure if this is specific to my just to my machines. I tested on two different machines. On one machine, I'm using a Chromium. I tested on Chrome 88 and Chrome, I think 98. On that machine, when I have three participants, I get all three of them in tiles, on one line. When I test on my other machine, this particular one, when I have three participants, I have them under old behavior, which is on two lines. This machine here has Chromium 100 and then 102. On this machine, on both machines actually, if I introduce a Firefox participant in either one of the meetings, then I get the three tiles in one line. So I'm wondering if it's something to do with my machines or if it's a behavior that other people have noticed.
Yeah, no, it's just likely due to the specifics of your screen proportions. So right now, the layout that you get depends on what your ratio is between width and height. And the driving logic behind the layouts that we do is essentially maximizing the real estate used for video. And I think the calculation in your case on one of your computers must yield that if we split it in two rows, we would be showing you more video than if we were to try and squeeze them on a single row, where we've probably detected that no, this would require us to cut the video beyond the proportions that we allow ourselves to cut it. So we would have, I think our ratio, right, Christo will speak in a moment, I think our ratio is like 2:1 or something like that, or X:1 width to height. And we don't allow ourselves to cut more of the image that would take us beyond that ratio. So that's probably what we're detecting in one of your machines. Although Christo, maybe you want to correct something that I said.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a few things. So the ratio is 1 for width by 1.3 for height, basically. But that's not important. I wanted to mention that actually I have a PR that we're gonna merge very soon. I'm still trying to. Basically, it's still in review, but we are getting close to merging it, which will probably address some minor edge case issues like that. So maybe you can have an improvement, but uh, can you repeat your exact problem specifically? Sorry, I kind of.
Oh,
On
no.
one of his computers, he's getting 2 tiles plus 1 tile. On the other, he's getting 3 tiles in the same row, I assume, for the same deployment.
But it's the same screen basically, or
No, it's different screens, I presume, right, Freddie?
Yes, they're 2 different machines, 2 different screens.
yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure if actually. I mean, basically, if you can provide more details, maybe we can figure out if there's an actual bug, but like the layouts on the different screens are going to be different.
Okay, I did open a Gita feature request because I thought that you were doing away with the 3001 row when I first noticed it. So
All right, no, we're not doing away with the 3001 row. We're doing away with that being the only option.
yes. So initially I thought, because I have a dev environment where I work on the latest unstable. So when I noticed it in stable, I was like, oops, please don't get rid of it. But then I realized later that I was having a different experience on different machines. So I wasn't sure if it was just me. So it already is on GitHub if you want to take a look at it.
So you have an issue on GitHub, basically. Create an issue on GitHub, or?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Risto.
I was asking, you were saying that you created an issue on GitHub about that, or?
Yeah, I said I already did on GitHub. I'll just send it in chat. I don't want to.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have a look, but just to let you know, as basically Emil said, now how many columns and rows you're seeing is very, very tightly related with basically the area that the thumbnails are gonna take from the whole available space on the screen.
Okay.
So we know more. We don't have many, especially with the PR that I'm gonna launch soon. We won't have many constraints for, let's say, how many columns are we displaying or how many rows.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of, so the algorithm basically is trying to figure out in which configuration we are going to take more space. We of course have a limit of thumbnails that we are trying to not, basically go beyond it. But other than that, you can now, especially with the PR that I'm going to merge, you can easily have, let's say, 1 row with 20 participants if you have very wide screen, and if that's the way we're going to take the whole area with thumbnails or something like that. So basically, having different number of rows and columns on different screens is basically expected. And furthermore, if you resize your window, basically the situation is going to be the same.
All right. I mean, I think that makes sense somewhat, because this screen here is 27 inches, and then the other one I think is a 17. The smaller one is 17. So on the 17-inch, I see 1 row. On 27 inches, I see 2 rows.
Yeah. So that's definitely have some impact. Here we, as Emil explained, we kind of take into account the height as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's definitely. I would say this is the reason for the difference. The other thing, we still respect the property for having a limit on the number of columns that you can set. So
okay. I mean, I suppose what made it curious. Oh, sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay, I suppose what kind of made me be curious about it was because I was getting the three tiles in one column. In 1 row, before, so I wasn't sure if this was something that had to do with my Chrome update. But if I'm hearing you correctly, perhaps you're saying this will be configurable, so that with a with the new PR when it's merged, I will be able to constrain my environment so I can get those 3 tiles because I really like the 3 tiles in one row. I don't care what the
So it's not really like that. It's so basically the property that I was talking about is something like um, uh, basically the limit for the columns that you're gonna see. But the thing is that if we calculate that two columns is the best thing that we can display, you're still gonna see 2 columns, even if you set the maximum to 20. It's just maximum.
nice.
So this property will, let's say, you can use it, let's say, if you want to not have 20 columns in any case, even if the screen can permit the app to display them. Basically, in this case, you can kind of limit them to some lower number in order to,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
although,
This is mission specific then. It's not
yeah,
okay.
but so if so basically on the screen that you see 2 columns only, probably if we feed 3 columns, that basically this is gonna be worse than fitting 2. Will take less space there on the screen, and you're gonna have those empty spaces from the top and bottom probably because.
I'm sorry, but in the smaller machine, and I'm gonna shut up after this because I don't want to take up the whole meeting. In the smaller machine, I do have the empty spaces on the top and the bottom now. I didn't before though with the large machine. The large machine is my main machine, and like I said, it filled up the screen beautifully.
Oh, I see. So I have some fixes, as I said, on this PR. So maybe, yeah, maybe wait for it to land. I can send you a PR actually, so that you can have a look there and know when we merge it. It's going to be pretty soon, probably in the next few days. And if you can check if that fixes basically the problem for you in the smaller screen. It's possible to be fixed by that. Otherwise, maybe, I mean, otherwise I'm gonna have a look. Let me know, and I'm gonna check if we have a bug. If you post some resolutions and stuff, that's gonna be very useful if you haven't yet.
All right, thank you
All
very
right. Thank you, folks. Any other questions? So there was a question while I'm waiting. Please raise your hand if you have any. Oh, there are already raised hands. Annie, your hand is raised. Did you have something, or was that in relation to?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I have been using Jitsi for my meetings, the ones that I go to, and I noticed that in some cases, there are times when people have trouble logging into meetings. I don't know if I tried to look it up online. So, is there any type of technical requirements for Jitsi? Like browser and or like something to make sure that they're able. I don't know if it's like a hardware thing or is it like with the program that people are having trouble getting into.
It can be any of those things. People fail to join meetings for all sorts of reasons. It can be that the hardware is dated. It can be that the browser is dated. It can be that the browser doesn't have no support for WebRTC at all, or it has some support, but it's a very old version and it breaks with Jitsi. We only support a couple of versions back of modern browsers. So I'm afraid there's no easy answer to this. You would just have to take every case individually, make sure that your user has the latest possible version of whatever browser they're using. We strongly recommend Chromium-based browsers. So that means Chrome, Chromium, Brave, Edge. And there are a few others that come from Chrome, Opera. There's, that's make sure they use the last browsers. Make sure that they can, network can be an issue in some networks. I think in all of China, for example, access to MeetGT is blocked. Sometimes this is true just for specific corporate networks. So you'd have to pursue every case individually and try to eliminate possibilities.
I see. And one more thing before I have someone else. Whenever I try to do the like the recording option when it comes to Jitsi, so like sometimes it would during a meeting it would stop the recording, usually not by manually, but usually like abruptly. Is it because there's not enough space in the storage, or is it like there's a limit in which the recording can last?
Are you recording on Meet Jitsi or on some other deployment?
The recording function in the Jitsi Meet.
Right, but do you have your own Jitsi Meet deployment, or are you using this website, Meet Jitsi?
I think the second one.
Okay, you're using this website. So there's two reasons why a recording could end. The first one is that we currently limit them to 1 hour, I believe. And the other one, so it's CJ, I think it's you that's introducing Echo. I'm going to mute you. So the other one is that the recorder can crash. When it crashes, it should resume. If you're not seeing it resume, then you've probably just reached 1 hour.
Okay, so the funny thing is when I understand that if it is an hour, but sometimes it may be recording and it may be less than an hour. Is it because, like, for example, there's I can see a timer running on this meeting. So basically, does it happen when that time comes or when it comes to?
No. Yeah, it has to be 1 hour of recording. So if you start now, the recorder should end at 1.5 hours of this time. So again, it could be the recorder crashing. And in that case, you should see it resume. Are you saying that you're not seeing this?
No, it's just that sometimes it would stop recording less than an hour.
I understand. The recorder might have crashed when that happens. And if you see that happen, so we did have a few issues where recorders were crashing that I believe we fixed recently. So there should be less of that. If it did crash, however, I believe recorders resume after that without you doing anything. But maybe if you're just going and starting it again, you're seeing the new recorder join, you're not realizing that's a restart. But anyways, if you were experiencing crashes, I think you should be seeing less of them now. Yana, did we deploy that in production or Damien, if you know?
Jitsi has the latest Jibri. And I believe that includes all of the updates we made around its Jibri's handling, specifically when disconnections happen for the other clients. So sometimes you'll think it was a failure because also you got bumped out of your meeting, and when you come back, there's no Jibri.
That's a good point.
What can really happen is that you've actually got disconnected, so the Jibri sees there's no one else in the room and leaves and just finishes up. So that can also be a thing that happens. And we've improved the timing for that so that Jibri is a little more patient and will wait around a little longer before finally deciding that y'all aren't coming back and leave itself.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure. Matteo,
Yes.
you wrote a lot of stuff. Would you like to summarize it here?
Yeah, just quickly about the audio sharing streaming. When you have like both a mic and another audio source like a tab or something, I just wonder what is the strategy? Do you merge the stream inside like the client, or do you let the bridge do the merge of the stream directly in the bridge? Maybe you have a different strategy between peer-to-peer or not peer-to-peer. So that's my question. If you can clarify, that would help for me.
Yeah, we've never done video mixing. So the bridge never decodes video.
Audio.
Ever. It's the same thing.
Okay.
And those streams are just being routed. For one-to-one conversations, we try to connect them peer-to-peer when possible. We're using a turn server. They most of the time those wouldn't use the bridge. They would automatically switch to the bridge if a third person joins. But again, the bridge never decodes audio or video. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
That's been the case forever, since day one. Actually, that's not true. In 2015, I think we were mixing audio up to a point, and then we stopped. So for the past 7 years, we haven't been decoding audio or video.
Okay, thank you.
This is a completely separate thing from end-to-end encryption, though. So you started your question asking about end-to-end encryption, I just want to make sure that I answered what you wanted to know.
Oh no, no, it's not related to VP9. It's not related to VP9 at all.
It's not related to VP9. Well, actually, it is, part of it is related to VP9, but what I said isn't related to end-to-end encryption either.
Okay.
Right? Those are different. Encoding and encrypting are different things.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So did you have a question about end-to-end encryption as well, or was it just about
No,
encoding?
just about encoding.
All right. Gotcha.
While you're on end-to-end encryption, there's a question in the chat.
Well, that was from Matteo.
Oh,
No, it's Matthew. Somebody different.
Yeah, there was another one.
they have a similar name, but we
that's from Matthew.
Right.
Okay.
We shouldn't be having namespace collisions in this particular context.
All right.
This is a valid separate question.
All right. So Matthew, do you want to take the mic? Let me read this. On April 12, 2020, you announced for the first time that you were working on end-to-end encryption for Jitsi. That's correct. 2 years later, the feature is only available as an experimental feature and only in the browser, not yet in the mobile apps. Okay. How have things changed and evolved on this front since 2020? All right, here's how things changed. We implemented end-to-end encryption in the browser, so we support it now. The reason we call it beta or experimental, and do we really still do that, is because the experience may be quirky in how we handle situations where you use server-side functionality. Like if you try to record a meeting that's being end-to-end encrypted, that would actually potentially work because that joins as a client. But telephony features will not work, and we don't necessarily have the best messaging around that. Now, having said that, and I welcome you to unmute so that, wait, is Matthew still here, actually? He's not. Oh, okay. Borby, were you going to say something?
I was going to say he's still here.
Well, Matteo is here, but I don't see Matthew anymore.
I do.
He says he's here. So
oh, I see him. I see him. Okay. All right. So having said that, I have problems understanding the case for having end-to-end encryption in Jitsi Meet. Because it seems rather pointless to me. It isn't clear to me what specific attack vector it prevents. End-to-end encryption was designed in an era where people were being supplied by clients and with their clients and servers from different vendors and different service providers. So if your client, it was essentially your client protecting you against your service provider, and the vendor of your client telling you whether or not your service provider was trying to compromise your communication. So you had a part that wasn't really mentioned because it was implicit. All software worked like that. But you essentially were guaranteeing one of your service providers by another. Okay, and that duality was extremely important. This duality doesn't exist anymore. So the people who are supplying you with the service, us, are also supplying you with the client. So essentially, when you use end-to-end encryption, you trust our word that nothing is happening to your media. And so the question is, well, if you trust our word that nothing is happening to your media, why didn't you trust it even without end-to-end encryption when we were telling you that nothing was happening with your media? So there are some corner cases where you could maybe argue that, okay, like the whole Swiss cheese defense thing that I never really liked. But overall, I find the case for end-to-end encryption to be a lot less compelling these days. And if you have concerns of that kind, your best bet is anyway to deploy your own versions of Jitsi, where the only person you have to trust is yourself. Like if you're concerned that your provider, us, might be eavesdropping on you, then that's your best way out. And that's what we work heavily to make very easy, to make sure that you can easily install Jitsi and run it under your own terms and your own trust. Yeah, I hope this makes sense. I had an incoming call, so I don't know if my... All right. Any other questions? By the way, I should have added to... No, Matteo, that's not at all what I said. Oh my gosh. There is end-to-end encryption in Jitsi Meet. You can use it today. I'm just saying that I'm not sure why you would do so, and what do you think you're gaining by using end-to-end encryption in Jitsi Meet?
And the other thing in the sort of context of Meet Jitsi is it's not quite clear to me given that all participants are anonymous, what exactly it means to be end-to-end encrypted to somebody who you don't know who they are. That's not a very meaningful thing to do. So.
Right. There's authentication is a very important part of end-to-end encryption. You want to make sure that the people who are able to, that you trust and verify the identities of the people who you're talking to. And it's hard to do that in an anonymous experience, in an anonymous environment, because, yeah.
There's, in my opinion, there's one corner case of where end-to-end encryption might give you a slight benefit. It's like when you describe that you just deploy your own version of Jitsi Meet, and you do not trust your cloud provider, basically, of your JVB, right? If the end-to-end encryption is set up so that that hosting provider of the JVB doesn't have access to your signaling of that end-to-end encryption, then
right.
That might
except that it's not clear to me
like
why your cloud hosting provider would not have access to your signaling, given that it has to be hosted somewhere too. Now,
yeah, and also you have to trust the hosting provider to actually serve the JavaScript you gave them, as opposed to some other hacked JavaScript.
Well, yeah, that gets in the whole discussion of like where the encryption should happen. But yeah, I mean, I think we all agree it's like all kind of different sets of corner cases, I guess.
Okay, so from Matteo, just about my previous question regarding audio streams tracks. Okay, wait a second. So that is, okay, Matthew is end-to-end encryption, Matteo is about audio. So Matthew, I hope that that discussion answers your question. If you'd like to continue, please let us know if there's parts that are unclear.
Just briefly, more specifically, yes, we send up to 3 audio streams to the client. If there's 3 people talking at once, you'll get 3 separate audio streams to the client simultaneously.
Right. So that's Matteo, but I just wanted to close Matthew.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
So Matthew, if there's anything else you'd like to talk about here, please post whatever questions you find are still unanswered. And yes. Okay. You're welcome. And Matteo, that's what Jonathan just answered, I believe. I haven't read the question at all. Yes, the bridge doesn't mix anything. Yes, you would get as many streams as you're hearing. Like as Jonathan and I were speaking to you right now, you were getting both of our audios separately in separate streams.
Yeah, but for the same user, like for instance, if you have like a YouTube stream and a mic stream, like do you merge it first in the clients and you send it to the bridge or whatever, or do you send all the streams and then you receive?
Yeah, if you have a YouTube stream, we have an entire gateway that takes every stream from everyone. That gateway mixes it and only then sends it to YouTube.
I think he's asking for a client sending to the bridge, and I think in that case we only ever have one single track.
Okay, so you send only one track and you merge it first with like an audio API in the browser?
Merge what? There's only...
If you're doing a screen share with audio.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, if you have, for instance, a screen share on both the mic, you have like two audio stream from the same client. So the question is like, do you send those multiple tracks?
Okay, gotcha.
Tracks,
no, I
merge it first.
Yeah, they are. Boris, I think you said extra track. I think we do mix them. That we don't. There's only one SSRC going out for.
Yeah, we mix them currently. It's possible that with the, associated with the work to send separate video for your camera and screen share. We're not doing gonna do that for audio as well.
Yeah, we're not doing that for audio yet. So for if we have a desktop audio from the screen share, then yeah, we mix it in the client and send a single stream up to the bridge. It's always one.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's always one stream up to the bridge.
Okay, thank you. And you cannot send multiple streams or tracks?
Yeah, not right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And I did want to mention one thing about recordings. Annie, that might be of interest to you, but maybe to others as well. We are currently working on implementing support for local recordings so that you wouldn't require Jibris and you would be able to record everything the way that you see it and it'll be recorded on your own computer. So that should be coming within the next month or thereabout. How do you get a self-hosted environment? Head over to jitsi.org. There's a couple of ways you can install Debian packages, or you can get Docker containers, and all of that is rather fully explained on our GitHub site, and you can get to all these places starting from jitsi.org. It's been a particularly lively one today. I like this discussion. Are there any other questions? I should add one more thing, by the way, with regard to my position on end-to-end encryption. When I said that it isn't clear to me exactly what benefit people take from using end-to-end encryption with Jitsi, that pretty much extends to every platform today. I think they're all suffering the same issue where you no longer have two parties vouching for each other's wholesomeness. It's you're in the same spot with anyone. The only difference with Jitsi is that you can actually end up running your own stuff. So you get end-to-end by virtue of simply eliminating the middleman. So, all right. Anyone else? Local recording. Bonus question. Good. Is this being implemented like screen recording? Yes, that's exactly how it's being implemented. It will be a screen recording with audio. The interface should be a little bit better than that, but it wouldn't be perfect. You'd still have some sort of, wait, why am I being asked to choose a thing? Just want to record the meeting. But that's the only way it can be done with WebRTC today. All right, folks. I think at this point we can close the call. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And I wish you a wonderful couple of weeks. And we'll see you again on the next community call. Bye-bye.